Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Always Tell Me the Odds, a Star Wars Unlimited podcast. It's episode 13 today. I am Marcus, or Faluin, and with me is Magnus, or Dragonfly. Hello Magnus.
Hello. Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you.
Good to hear. Same here.
Yeah. And you?
Yeah, it's same here.
You're good?
It's Monday, as usual. It's nice.
It is.
Yeah, but
usually a Monday when we record. So
it is.
This
and it's
starting to be a usual
usual Monday.
recurrence. Yeah, usual Monday.
It's good to pick up the start of the week like this and to sit down and talk a little bit about this. So that's nice.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Yeah. So what have you been up to this last week? Have you done some Star Wars gaming?
I mean, Not super much. I've been. I went to our local game night last Thursday, and we played quite a few games of Twin Suns.
Mm-hmm.
It was super fun. We were 7 players, so we had one table with 4 and one table with 3.
Oh, unfortunately,
it was my first. Yeah, it's of course one of the only times you couldn't make
couldn't
it.
Be there.
We're 7 people, so but I got to try out to play Twin Suns with 3 players.
Yeah, how was that?
I have to say, it went a lot faster than 4 players, and feels like the game is best when you play with 4.
With 4,
I guess the dynamic becomes better with 4. I think our game. I had a lot of luck in the beginning, so my deck, I played a Dooku and what's he called, Newt Gunray deck, and I had some luck with my Explore cards in the beginning. So exploit, so I started to attack one of the other players' bases, and actually I took a bit of a chance because I was like, okay, I can end the game by killing one of my fellow players. But if the third player had, like, there were a few cards he could like play. I don't remember the exact situation, but it was like, okay, I probably win, but if he has like this or this or this, I lose. And he actually had those things. So he managed to do enough damage to my base after I killed that player. But it was a super fast game. So I don't know. I think I like the 4 players better. Yeah, it's interesting. I would like to play 3 players and just try it out. It feels like it will be more like if one player is doing very well, the other 2 would just like bunch up against them. Feels like 4 player would be more like everybody's a little bit more careful and a little bit more hesitant to do anything. So interesting. Twin Suns is such an interesting mode of game. It's a lot of dynamic. And it's I really like to play that sometimes because it's so different from playing Premier and
it's more casual.
And also
and
very different from I mean, all the different types is quite different in their own way.
Yeah, of course.
Like with the draft and sealed but Twin Suns really stands out because it's completely different when you play with 4 players. Yeah. So it's an interesting really fun to play.
Yeah, it is for sure.
And you have that 2 leaders per player as well, so it's actually quite different. But I really like it.
It's interesting. It's a lot of fun though. Yeah.
So what have you been up to?
Yeah, so I haven't been. I've been not doing very much of Star Wars because I've been away. So both days with playing last week, when there was a lot of people at our local place, I could not attend, which was a little bit unfortunate. But I've been looking into the new leaders a little bit more, and I'm even more sure now, as I said in the last episode, that I will play Luke Skywalker. I will probably play more though, but Luke Skywalker will probably be my first leader to try out in some way. And also I was visiting Stockholm over the weekend because my daughter was on a concert there. So I took that opportunity to go to the local stores up there, and they were super, super nice. And it was fun to see something else and see how they or organized and so on. I was at this place. It's called Alpha Spel, and they were real nice. They have a bar, so they have. You could sit there and have a beer and play some cards or board games. And they have separate rooms for pen and paper RPGs and separate rooms for Warhammer and Necromunda and stuff like that. So it was a super nice store. So it was interesting to see. So, but yeah,
I've never been to that store actually, but we'll have to go play Star Wars there someday.
Yeah. I think we should go there and just play some. Like, just have a Star Wars Unlimited weekend up there. It would be cool.
Yeah, would be nice.
But otherwise, I haven't done very much. I hope so. I will miss also. We have our pre-releases next weekend. I will miss those because then I'm away again, and then so it won't be a lot of Star Wars for me in like 2 weeks now. But after that, I will be all in again. For sure.
Yeah, so you'll be back for release weekend.
Yeah, for the release weekend I will be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that will be.
I mean, it's fun. So you'll be having withdrawal from playing now.
Yes.
You'll have you see, this is you'll see even more how addictive these games are.
Probably.
When you really like to play them.
What have you done to me?
So when this episode airs, it's actually on Sunday, so this will be on the pre-release weekend.
Yeah. We'll, that's true. That's true.
Release this episode.
Yeah. So, and I'm looking forward to open my display boxes that I have ordered.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It will be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to the pre-releases. I'm going to both Friday and Saturday at least.
Oh yeah,
two different.
That's
awesome. Gonna be really fun.
Yeah.
I really like the sealed version of when you do
it's a lot
the pre-releases. It's really nice when it's new cards and new leaders. To not go jump right into draft or something like that, or just you get your card pool and you have to do the best you can with it, and
there's no one who is really good at all the cards or something. It's more of an even playground, so to say.
Yeah.
And the pre-release for set 3 was my first time ever playing TCG in a organized way. So for me that was a little bit special. So I'm a little bit sad that I missed the pre-releases for set 4, but hey, life. It is what it is.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. All right. So what are we talking about today then? We are we're picking up on another listener question, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And this one we picked out to make a separate episode about because it's a very interesting question, and it's very important both for the game but also for the community of the game. And do you want to read it, or should I?
I can read it.
Yeah.
So it's from KTP90.
Yeah.
He asks, what are some common sense rules and etiquette for playing Swu? So what behaviors are considered good manners and what should be avoided?
Yeah.
So it's a very good question.
It's a very interesting one.
Especially if you've not come in contact with games like this, or even other games, going to tournaments and such. It's really good to know what am I what are people expecting me to do and what shouldn't I do. Some things are, for me at least, very obvious.
Yeah,
like be a good person.
Yeah, exactly.
So on and so on. But
don't be a jerk.
It's a bit more than that. So it's
of course.
It's quite nice to go through all these things.
Yeah. It's also very for me that are completely new into this world. It's very interesting to think about this, because for me also it's it's just be a nice person. Don't be an idiot, kind of. But there are some things that you really need to think about and there are also some rules about it. And I also know that the person who asked this question, he is also new into the game to Swu, so it's I understand that the question comes from them. So
and it's not that easy to know especially what people are expecting from you, and
true.
If what can I do, what shouldn't I do, and all this. So, I mean, let's just jump right in and try to bring up some things.
So I dug out a list of things. It's because I found some articles online about going to tournaments in card games or TCGs, and so I was just I picked out some of them that I thought we can talk a bit about those, because they are they're interesting, and they're also like very like broad. But I think you have most to put in here. I have some newcomer thoughts about it. But first of all, this is something we have like touched on. I know you have said this a lot of times, but I think it's good to say it again. But it's calling a judge if you're unsure about something. And
actually, I'm gonna jump in and just let's talk about your last point.
Oh, okay.
First,
yeah.
Instead, because I think it's the most important.
All right, let's do that.
Points in this. Yeah. So when we talk about sportsmanship, so we all are going to tournaments to have fun because we like it. Okay, I mean some people go maybe just to compete and win, but no one's going there to be experiencing like bad behavior or getting outright like what's it called, like harassed or something like that. Harassment or anything like that. So I think sportsmanship is probably the most important point when you talk about what you should expect from your opponents and what you yourself should behave, and then it's quite easy. It's just like be nice. You don't have to be friends with everyone. You don't have to talk very much if you don't want to.
But be respectful and nice.
Be respectful. Be nice. Don't do anything you shouldn't. Like it's common sense probably, but I mean,
and it's also
it's good to actually really take the point in that you don't have to try to be everyone's friend. That's not what we're talking about. But just like you said, just respect your opponents and everyone's there. If you're not talkative, you need some time alone. Some people really need like quiet time between matches. Just be nice about it. Just say, I don't have like after a game. I'm sorry, I need to go outside, just be quiet a while or
I mean, it's
sorry, I interrupted you.
No, but it's the same thing. I mean, I've been competing in sports in a very, very high level, and it's the same thing there. Sportsmanship is number one. It's even if it's like super, super, super serious, you really still need to have a good sportsmanship, because it's kind of common sense to be a human, I would say. but I'm glad that you said that. Let's start with the last one, because that's actually the most important one, and all of the other points are actually building on this one, I would say.
Yeah. And as you said, it's I mean, this sportsmanship is almost like you should always be nice in
of course.
It's like whatever situation you're in, but when it's good to know that you should expect your opponents to be like respectful and not calling you names or anything like that.
Yeah, true.
In the game, there is actually rules in. You can go to the Fantasy Flights homepage for Star Wars Unlimited. There are both rules for what to expect at tournaments, and there are of course rules for the game.
Yeah.
And there are rules for sportsmanship. You are like expected to be respectful, and if your opponent is like calling you names or being rude, you can call a judge on him for bad behavior.
Yeah,
that is a way to get like a game loss or whatever. It depends on how harsh, of course, what happened and so on. But it could be good to know that it's expected from everyone to be respectful and nice.
And I have heard about occasions when it happened that people are not being like sportsman wise, and there are judges being called onto that. But I haven't experienced it, because everyone I've been meeting in tournaments and stuff have been absolutely awesome. So I don't think it's something you should be afraid of. But just think about it. Be a good sportsman.
I don't think it's very
common, I would say,
at all. Yeah. And I mean some it's okay to be like get disappointed if you have a bad game or something bad like happens. You have bad luck and so on. You could be like, some people get a bit like quiet and maybe withdrawn and not that talkative, and just like sometimes you have to try to feel the room. When you notice that your opponent is getting like really disappointed that he's losing the game, maybe not try to talk too much to him after the game if he doesn't want to.
And exactly. But that is the respect comes into.
Yeah, and that's where respect and always you can always like be respectful and say I'm sorry, I need some time by myself, or
of course
to not but just be nice. That's
just
the number one rule.
Don't be a douche. So let's go back to this one, calling the judge then, because that's also like sportsmanship is one thing, but you often talk about this that you can always call a judge. I think I know you say this, and I know this is everybody says this that plays TCGs in whatever game you play, that it is whatever it is, you can always call a judge. I still feel a little bit like weird to do that, but I more and more like think about it, and I think I just need to do it a couple of times to get comfortable with it. But
it's the same for me. I'm never really gotten used to. I'm better at it now.
Yeah.
But sometimes it feels wrong. I don't know why, and it shouldn't feel wrong at all.
Yeah.
It's not. It's completely fine to call a judge for if you have any question about the game
for
or
whatever reason,
anything surrounding the game for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's no disrespect towards your opponent or anything if you want to call a judge. So I try to just see it like checking my cards or something like that, like an extra check. If I don't really understand something, you can call a judge. They're there to help.
Yeah,
and of course they should like see that everyone follows the rules, but they're also there to help if you need help. If you
to make a nice environment for the games, for the people playing it. And I don't think we need to like go super deep into this, because we have said it before, and I am pretty sure that we'll get back to this again. But I thought it was a very important point to point that out that it's always okay to call a judge,
especially to newer players. It's really good to really point out that it's super okay to call a judge, and actually you should call a judge. I've heard so many stories from new players that, I lost that game. We did this and that, and that's just you both did it wrong. And like most of the time, it's not because of that the opponent tried to trick you or something. That's just that they've misinterpret the rules and made a mistake as well. But you can really easily lose games. On small
things,
rules questions that you should have just called a judge and get it sorted out.
So for me,
call a judge.
For me as a new player, it's been very valuable for you that you have said it so many times to me, and also other people are like they are saying that all the time. It's like call the judge. But so if we go back to if I jump back a little bit to sportsmanship, I will take one thing that I thought the first time I heard this, I was like, what? Why? How is this a rule? Why is that in a rule book? But it's still this thing about hygiene, because I have understood that is a pretty big thing, and there's even rules about that. I heard.
Yeah, even in SWU there are. It's mentioned in the rules. You are expected to keep a good hygiene when coming to a tournament. So you can't smell really bad or like drip of sweat or anything like that. That's not allowed. And I mean, it's like you said, it goes hand in hand with sportsmanship. You shouldn't. Your opponents shouldn't have to have you like smelling really bad or something like that. That's not okay. To create a bad environment for everyone is not sportsmanship.
It's not exactly. So. And there's also like because we checked in the like master event rules, and there are 4 categories in this. Like excessive body odor is not okay. Illness is not okay. Like if you're ill, having fever or sneezing or whatever. And also open wounds and source. Like for me, that was like, what? Of course you don't have that. But I mean, it's like it's in there. So, and also unwashed hands and bodies. So like, don't be like smelly and dirty and so on. And so it's interesting for me. That was very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also very rare. I guess that someone gets a penalty because of hygiene. I hope, at least. I haven't really heard about it in later years, at least. But I have heard like stories from Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. Do you remember back
before
in the, like,
these things were in the rules?
In the rules,
people
yeah. Do you remember?
Like,
do you remember back in the days when we were arranging those huge conventions when we had like RPG players and miniature games and board games and TC and Magic? We always had to put Magic players in a separate house. And there was like it was, but like cleaning out there was horrible because also always smelling, and it's like it was so much dirt everywhere. Like they really did not show a good way to be a sportsman. Like they didn't show a good sportsmanship because they left all the trash there, and it's like horrible. But I know that was before this got into the rules. I know that, and I mean. Today it's like, I mean,
I guess that's why they started to write it in
probably
to card games rules. Like it shouldn't have to, but it doesn't hurt that it's there. True. Because it makes it easier for judges as well.
I actually think
someone has a really bad hygiene, it's actually in the rules. So I can just give you penalty.
I actually think the last times we had those big conventions, we did not have TCGs in them because we didn't wanted to handle all that things. So I think it's I think it's very interesting. I think it's good that it's there because there will be no like discussions and everything. But it's interesting. It's also about sportsmanship again.
I don't know how much it's true, but I've heard stories from way back when people actually if it's true or not, but could use like bad hygiene as a
strategy,
as a form of
I've heard that too.
Warfare.
So weird.
And I mean, I could see that actually working because I would have had a hard time playing if I was getting against like opposed to a player that smells really
super
bad.
Smelly, for
that
sure.
would affect my playing as well. So I guess. Probably someone has tried that approach sometimes. Yeah. So it's good to have it in the rules.
Yeah, for sure.
That's also most people have good hygiene. You don't have to tell them, but just know you're expected to have a good hygiene.
Yeah. So it's also common sense. Yeah. All right. Another thing that I thought about that is, or I saw in this article I found that is interesting, is this asking before touching your opponent's cards. And that is something that I, as a new player, I haven't really thought about that, mostly because when we play with our local group, it's always okay to take the card, read what it does, and put it back again. So it's not a big deal. But then when I think about it, and it's like, yeah, maybe that is a thing, actually. So how should one think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always tried to go by, like, if I know the player, I usually don't ask. I mean, if I don't know that specific player really doesn't like people touching his stuff or anything like that, but I think it's good. It's nice to like ask quickly.
Sportsmanship again.
When before touching another player's things, because you never know how they feel about that. So I think it's good sportsmanship to actually ask, especially if it's a player you've never met before at a tournament before picking his stuff up. But there, I think, I'm not sure exactly how it's written in the rules in this game, but you are allowed when you cut your opponent's deck, because at the beginning of a game you both shuffle your cards and then you get to cut the player's deck. I think I'm quite sure you're actually you can shuffle your opponent's deck as well.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought that was just something people were nice and like, do you want to cut my deck? And it was like just like a sportsmanship thing, but it's actually in the rules.
certain it should be in the rules. I haven't checked, but it's usually in the rules for these kind of games because you don't want to have the discussion that some players say, no, you can't touch my cards at all, and then that leads to, but why can't I shuffle your deck? Are they trying to cheat or so? And in like a lot of card games, people actually pick the opponent's deck up and shuffle it, and I think you're as well allowed to do that this game.
Okay.
So, but it's always nice to just just ask or tell the player that you're okay. I'm gonna shuffle your cards. I'll and of course be super respectful when handling another player's cards. You don't. Yeah, you take it really easy. You don't want to damage them in any way. Because that's actually also in the rules that, like, if you destroy or damage something that you shouldn't, that's not yours in the game, you can be penalized, and that should, of course, be the way.
Of course.
Goes back to sportsmanship again. Be respectful. It's not your things, but that's actually a good point there. It doesn't hurt to ask before touching another player's cards, or if he have dice you want to roll to see who starts the game or something. Just, I mean, if the player rolls the dice and hand you the dice, you don't have to like, is it okay that I pick up your dice now? You don't have to like make a big deal out of it. Just when be respectful.
Except when it's our pen and paper RPG group, because we have a friend that is a physicist. He is like a teacher in physics, and he is like, do not touch my dice because they will not be as good afterwards. And also all of us others, they are like, we do not let him touch them because if he touched them, they do not work anymore. It's just low numbers.
That is how dice work.
That's how dice works for sure. So when it comes to this, like touching the opponent's card, like it's not the same thing. But what about eating and drinking while playing? I can see that if you're like sitting there eating chips or something, you get all greasy on your fingers and then touch your opponent's cards. I would be like, oh, dude, don't do that.
I wouldn't recommend. Eating. I wouldn't recommend during a game at all. Actually, when you play, at least when you play more competitive tournaments, I'm not sure what the rules say about this actually, but my point would be, don't eat while you play.
You can eat in between.
Even if it's allowed, don't eat while you play because you should be focused on the game and so on. You shouldn't be eating.
You can eat in between games.
Drinking, however, I always have a water bottle with me, and I often drink during games. But I'm super. I really try to like don't have the water over the table where the cards are. It's like always like on the side, besides my chair, and I pick it up and I try to drink not over the table. So
I did the same.
I'm not even in the
proximity of the cards.
I couldn't spill on my especially my opponent's cards.
I did that too. I had a bottle of water with a screw cap on them on the floor by my chair, and when I was drinking, I was leaning backwards from the cards because. But I did see someone who had a can. You open the can and it's always open, and those aluminum cans standing on the table, and I was like, oh dude, it's so easy to just like to tap that over and it just flows over the cards. And I mean, even if they are sleeved, most often double sleeved, still it's like if you get cola on them, for instance, it gets super sticky, it's like it's but
so the recommendation would be like have a bottle with a cork, screw cork of some kind, or something like that with it's a sealed top, like
exactly,
and don't drink like an over the table if you don't have to,
and don't eat.
But otherwise I think it's because especially longer tournaments, you should drink a lot of water during these tournaments because you really need it. So that's not a problem. But I would recommend people to not eat while playing. Eat in between games instead.
I agree on that for sure. I mean, we don't know if there's a rule in this game about that, but I mean that's our.
I would like, even if it isn't like like there's something explicit about eating or drinking. I guess it goes over to if you eat and you like get food on your hands and you get that on the cards. That's like having bad hygiene or like
true.
Yeah, destroying cards. So you shouldn't do.
You shouldn't do that. Yeah, I know that when I played a lot of board games back in the days and those conventions, and there were some board games that were like 16 hours long, and then we ate during the game, but that was most often like you did your turn and then you had like 40 minutes until it's your turn again. So then you could go away from the table and eat some, and you could go wash your hands and so on. But in this game it's so intense all the time. The games are not as long, so you can actually eat in between. But I think still like water is very important to drink like when you're thirsty. So but
yeah, of course.
All right. So let's go to another one. It's also it's more about the game, or we could take this one. It's more about tournaments, like talking to other people while playing. Because sometimes you sit there with your opponent, you play, and there are some people around you watching the game. So what do you say about talking to other people while you're playing?
I mean, that's also a thing that's in the rules. When the rules are more directed towards the people actually standing besides, especially when we're talking about more competitive tournaments. If you are a spectator, you're not allowed to talk to the players about anything that could affect the game at all.
Yeah.
And I guess I would say try not to talk to the players about anything during a game if it's a competitive tournament. I usually have my more if it's a story showdown with a lot of people that you know, and it's like your local game group, and it's a more casual tournament. It's usually more okay that people talk to each other even while playing, because it's not a competitive tournament. It's more and more about fun.
Yeah, it's more casual.
Who wins? So it's super more casual.
So what about
either way? You should never talk about the game itself.
Yeah,
you
of course.
Affect the game, of course.
So what do you do as when you watch a game and you see that they make a mistake or they like miss something or so on? So as a spectator, what should you do then?
If you're a spectator and you see that the players make a mistake or someone cheats or anything, you should never talk to the players right away. You should always go to a judge and tell them what happened, and they talk to the players.
Yeah. So we go back to that again. Call a judge.
Call a judge.
The judge is our best friend.
Spectator, you should call a judge if you see something's. If the players do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Go fetch a judge, and I mean, if it's a very big, if it's you see someone cheat or something, I'm not exactly sure what the rules say, but I'm quite sure usually is that you're not allowed to talk to the players.
Yeah.
You should go to the judge.
Go to a judge.
So
right.
And that's my recommendation.
Yeah. So when it comes to like rules and stuff, there's also this is an interesting one. Thing I found is like play at a reasonable pace. That is something I've been thinking about a little bit, because I'm new to the game, or I'm new to TCG, so I'm a slower player. Even if I really try to play fast, it's sometimes or a lot of times it goes to time because I'm too slow, or my opponent and I am too slow. It's not always me being too slow, but a reasonable pace. What is that? Like how do you? What is that?
And I mean. That is all, especially in a game like this where actually you have quite small amount of time. You really need to play quite fast to be able to play all of your games sometimes. So it's very relevant to and of course like slow play that we're talking about, and to play at a reasonable pace is always super hard to say exactly what's right. But we did see that they have. Addressed it in the rules, and they write that at a competitive tournament, you should usually not use more than 10 to 15 seconds per action.
Yeah.
And in a more casual tournament, you shouldn't use more than 20 to 25 seconds per action.
It feels so
again,
little to me.
Yeah, but it also says that, I mean, sometimes it's much, you really need to think things through. So it's not that you always should take 10 to 15 seconds.
No.
Some actions will take a lot longer.
Yeah.
But then again, some actions should take like only, usually, I mean, you attack with a unit, I attack with a unit, you attack with another unit, I take the initiative.
Yeah.
Some actions take like only a few seconds.
Yeah.
Because it's more
and also,
obvious that that's what you want to do.
Yeah, also early in the game it's most often faster because you know what you put out. You put this out, the other one put one out. I take the initiative. Okay, next turn. It's like it's super fast in the beginning. It gets slower and slower.
Yeah.
That's at least my experience. But when I see the numbers like 10 to 15 seconds per action, is for me in my head it's like that's so fast. But when I think about it, it's like 10 seconds is kind of a long time. If you start counting for yourself, 1, 2, 3, it's like it's kind of a long time. But it's
10 to 15 seconds. It's quite long to take for an action. I think most actions taken in this game does not take 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah, true. So now I feel even dumber. Why do I always go to time then? But it's just like we always play along like it's a lot of turns. It's not like every action takes time. It's just it's a lot of turns because I've been playing control decks. So.
And I mean, these numbers are to help the judges as well, because if you feel that your opponent takes more than like 10-15 seconds every action, even if he only has like 1 or 2 actions to take as a choice, and he takes like 20 seconds every time,
like on purpose,
you should even if he it's always, I mean, it doesn't matter if he does it on purpose or he's just a slow player, because you're supposed to play faster than that. You shouldn't take 20 seconds every action.
Yeah, true.
Even if that's just how you play, then this might not be the game for you to compete in, exactly. Of course, when you play more casual, it's not as... important. So,
but I also think
but if you want to compete, like you should
try to get fast.
And if you, I'd say this: if you've gotten a lot of comments that maybe you should pick up your pace when you play and such, you should maybe try yourself and try to be like get better at playing faster. You could try to, when you play with your friends, try to have a clock, like a chess clock or something, and try to see how much time do you actually take while you play.
And it's but I also think it's a matter of experience, because I know a lot of our local players told me that it's like, don't worry about it, because you are so new, so it takes a little bit time for you, but you will get into the lines, how they go, so you will be faster. But I also think it's more important than to really get to know your deck, and kind of what to do every turn. It's like, because some people I talk to, they are like, in turn 4 these cards are the ones you're going to play, and I was like, how do you know that? But it was like, because they have been playing games for like ages. So it's like, I think it's just a matter of like playing more, but also maybe if you are inherently a slower player, that it takes longer for you. Maybe you should not play decks that are super control-y or so on. It's like,
I mean, it's good to be aware, and that's also why I wanted to say that it's not disrespectful in any way to ask your opponent to play faster. And and to be like, of course, in a respectful way. I'm sorry, we have to both play faster if we want to complete this game, or I mean, just bring it up. And if nothing happens, you should call a judge. Because slow play is not allowed. Even if it's not malicious from your opponent, even if he does it because he wants to like slow play.
It's still not allowed.
It's not allowed to be too slow while playing the game, because you have the right to be able to have the time to complete the game if it's possible. Some games, it doesn't matter if you play super fast; they'll take so long that you won't be able to do it anyway.
Yeah,
but that's another thing.
That's another thing.
Like two really controlly decks against each other, even if you're both super fast.
Yeah,
it's not certain you'll manage to play 3 games in 55 minutes. But at the best, as long as you try to do your best and actually keep it at a reasonable pace.
Yeah.
And in this game, reasonable pace
is those numbers.
According to the rules is 10 to 15 seconds per action. So,
competitive.
Shouldn't be longer than that.
True. Yeah, and also it's like, I think it's a good point. Still uncomfortable for me to bring it up. It's like, can we please play a little bit faster? But it's always like, as in every relationship, conversation is a good thing.
And this is for me also a thing that I'm really bad at. I've lost games because it took too long. We didn't finish, and I'm usually a quite fast player.
Yeah,
but I'm also bad at calling the judge when my opponents takes too long. And I try to tell myself I have to be better at the like more competitive tournaments to actually
do that
quite quickly. If I really noticed it's early in the game that this player is taking quite a while to do his actions, I should call the judge Of course, I usually always try to ask the player first. I'm noticing it's taking a while. Could we play faster or something like that? If you don't notice any difference, you should call a judge.
But I mean, you should be able to play all 3 matches if it's necessary. So you need to keep up the pace. And it's also, I imagine it can be harder later in the day when you have played like 5 or 6 games, and then you get tired in your head and you play slower, but you still need to keep it up.
Of course.
So, all right. So I've just think just shortly with touch on a last one I found, and is this one to take a quick break if you need to, because if you're sitting around there for a whole day, and especially if you play slower games, so every game goes into 3 matches, you need to go to the toilet or whatever. So how do you handle that if you're in a match and you suddenly it's like, I really need to go to the toilet or something like that? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I usually say that try to be aware of that this is a problem, because you're like some tournaments you don't have very much breaks between rounds. So if you play a deck that almost takes the full time every turn, you won't even have time to go to the bathroom between rounds sometimes. But so be aware, and if I usually if that happens, if I play a deck like that, I usually go to the judge after a round and say like, we played all to time. I have a deck that plays a lot to time. I really need to go to the bathroom. So like get them to know, because if they start the next round right away, you usually can get like, okay, go to the bathroom. I'll tell your opponent that you're just at the bathroom, and when you come back, you'll get like 5 extra minutes for your game, so you don't lose. Good. Because of course you're allowed to go to the bathroom during the day. But this though, taking a quick break during a game is something I try not to do myself. But if, as you said, I mean, sometimes if you have to go, you have to go. So, I mean, I would say call a judge, and they could probably give you your game like a few more minutes, and try to be quick about it, of course. But it's also actually a really good point in if you want to give new players like how to go to it like if you go to a tournament, try to think about your bathroom breaks. Actually, plan your for sure. Even if you're not super, you need to go to the bathroom. Maybe do it anyway before rounds and such, because you don't want to do it in the middle of a game.
I actually did that.
It shouldn't be a habit.
I actually did that when we went to Copenhagen, to the PQ there, because I was thinking about that before. And it's like, okay, well, after every in the end of every game or match, I will like think that's like, do I need to go to the bathroom now? And even if I slightly wanted to do it, it's like, okay, let's do it just to have it done. If I knew that I had a little bit more time, because I didn't know, like 2 games in, maybe it will be super crammed. So it's like I had a little bit of a plan for it. Of course, you can't plan exactly every bathroom break, but you can be a little bit like, you can plan a little bit ahead. And it's like, okay, I'm not a super need to go, but if I do it now, I don't have to do it in an hour or whatever. So
that's a very good tip to new players to try to really think about their
otherwise you need to have another bottle, and don't mix it up with your drinking bottle. Don't and just go to the bathroom,
because we usually say that you should try to drink a lot of water during these days as well. So you'll probably have to go to the bathroom quite often. So I myself do as well, almost like after every round or every 2 rounds, because I drink a lot of water while I play.
So even if you don't need it, it's good to do it. So
it's good to
sure.
It is.
All right, so I think we should starting to wrap this up a little bit, but I can say like this, that this question that about the common sense rules and etiquette for playing SWU, it came from KTP90, and that was also the person who won the free tickets to SWU Malmö Open qualifiers that are in the 29th of March. And we will again remind everyone to sign up. There are some tickets left, but there's a good bunch of players coming, and it will be a super nice tournament. It will also be streamed, if I remember it right, from our sister podcast, the Nordic Takedown, and so that will be super nice. So head over to we will have the link in the show notes. So head over there and sign up for SWU Malmö Open qualifiers. And also, again, the price table is insane. When I heard about that, I was like, oh my God, I really wish I was better at this game so I could get all that. And also the winner will get a free ticket to Malmö Open later on this year. So that's very nice.
And I mean, it was unfortunate. It's the tournament is the same weekend as the sector qualifiers in Milan. I think. So, but that all, if you can make it to Malmö, it's probably not going to be that many people that we thought from the beginning because of the same date. Yeah. So the pricing for the amount of people that's going to show up,
really good.
It's going to be really good. So if you can come, you should really go.
Yeah, and as we have said before, what is Milan compared to Malmö? And meeting us,
I mean,
dude,
of course.
But it was very unfortunate because we set the organizers set this date, and then a week after the dates for the qualifiers came, so it was a little bit unfortunate. Nothing we can do about it, and but it will be a good tournament. And as you say, that there are some drop offs because some people are going to Milan instead, so which makes the price table even more crazy.
Even better, even more crazy.
For sure.
So, Okay, so before we sign off for today, I have we always want to know the odds on this podcast, so I have a question for you today, Marcus. So this is quite a fun question.
Okay.
It's
I'm excited.
Well, I just tried to find some strange questions.
All right.
This is based on stats from 2020. If you live in America, of course, a lot of stats you can find is US based. So if you lived in US 2020, what are the odds of getting your car stolen?
That
I thought it was a fun,
it's
question because it's quite a lot higher than I thought it would be.
It depends on where you live.
It's still not high. Of course, this is just for the whole country, but I guess a lot of the thefts are in the same places. But
for sure.
Just like
But also, I think it fits the theme now with set 4, where there's a lot of vehicle coming in. So it's a good well-themed question. Well, so do you want a percentage?
So what do you think? Percentage.
I think you have I would say like 5% chance. I think that's pretty high though, but
that's really high.
Okay, that's really high.
But it's not that high. But that would be crazy.
Yeah. But
like five in 100.
Maybe that's a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's a little. But it's
one
like
1,000.
If you get another.
So one in okay. Let's say one in 10,000.
Yeah, it's 0.3% chance actually.
What?
So it's actually 3 in 1,000.
That
gets their car stolen in America.
Wow.
In my mind, that's super high.
That's super. I mean, I said 5% because I was like insanely high.
Yeah.
That is 0.3%. That is very high.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yep. But then again, of course, different areas
have
of course. Different percentage.
I guess this is an average.
But that would also mean that in some areas, 5%
super high.
Probably is accurate.
It could be
as well. So that could be.
I wonder if if that stat is like common also in Europe or Africa or Asia or something like that. It probably differs quite a lot, but
quite a lot, I guess.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, that was a hard one. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Let's wrap this up for now. As you know, we have a Discord that you can join, and we also have an YouTube where the episode goes up, and both those links are in the show notes. And you can also find us in the Swedish and the international Discord as Dragonfly, which is Magnus, and Faluin, which is me, Marcus. So, and that is everything for today. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week. So bye-bye.
Bye-bye.